Every pipeline we've built shares one hidden assumption. It retrieves exactly once, the same way, no matter the question, a fixed assembly line. But that line can't ask the obvious questions. First, do I even need to retrieve? A simple math question gets needlessly stuffed with document chunks. Second, was that retrieval any good? If the chunks come back irrelevant, the pipeline can't tell. It just feeds them in, and the model hallucinates an answer. Third, what if one search isn't enough? A question with two parts needs two different searches, but the pipeline only ever fires once. The deeper issue is that the model is a passive consumer. It answers from whatever it's handed, with no say over what gets retrieved or how. Agentic RAG changes that by giving the model something new, tools and the ability to decide to use them. A tool is just a function the model can call, described to it by a name, a sentence of purpose, and a schema of its arguments. Instead of only writing text, the model can now emit a structured call, like search. With a query, it writes itself. The system runs it, hands the result back, and the model continues. So retrieval becomes a tool the model wields. It chooses the exact search terms, and it chooses when and how often to search. And retrieval is just one tool. Add a web search, a SQL query, a calculator, an external API, and RAG becomes one capability among many that the model can reach for. To use those tools intelligently, an agent runs a simple but powerful loop, often called REACT. Reason, then act. It begins with a thought, the model reasoning about what it needs to find next. That thought leads to an action, calling a tool, which returns an observation, the result that comes back. Then the loop repeats. Watch it work, think, search for part 1, read the result, realize you need more, search again for part 2, and only then answer. Reasoning and retrieval, interleaved, step by step. Modern models now run this loop natively, through function calling, but the principle REACT named endures. Reason before you act. Once the model controls its own retrieval, capabilities open up that a fixed pipeline could never reach. Routing? It can decide whether to retrieve at all, and from which source, your vector store, a SQL database, or the live web. Decomposition. It can break a complex multi-part question into smaller sub-questions, retrieve for each one, then synthesize a single answer. And self-correction. It can grade what it retrieved, and if the chunks are weak, it rewrites the query or falls back to a web search before it ever answers. This is the idea behind corrective RAG and self-RAG. The result is retrieval that's robust, multi-source, and adaptive, reshaping itself to fit each question. Step back, and the change is structural. The old pipeline was a straight line, retrieve, then generate, its shape fixed in advance. The agentic version is a loop that branches, and the model decides the path through it at runtime. Control has shifted from the engineer, who once hard-coded every step, to the model that now chooses them as it goes. Retrieval has gone from a rigid step in a pipeline to a tool inside a reasoning loop. That is how agents change the very fabric of RAG. None of this is free. Every loop is another model call, so agentic RAG costs more and answers more slowly than a single pass. It's also less predictable and harder to debug, and an agent can wander, so you cap its steps with guardrails. So match the tool to the task. For a simple lookup, static RAG is faster and cheaper, but for complex, multi-source or quality-critical questions, you let the agent take the wheel. Because in the end, the difference is simple. Static RAG retrieves and then reasons. Agentic RAG reasons about what to retrieve.